if we look at dis-ease, and I call it like that for a reason, because all our diseases, pretty much all of them, have the roots in what? Stress. How many of you know that already? Stress is pretty much the cause of almost all our diseases. How many of you, that's new information for you? Okay. So think about it. We don't, we know this stuff. A lot of times we know this stuff, but we don't think about it like this. So if almost all our diseases, and medical science talks about this, if almost all our diseases come from stress, then maybe we should look at that. So stress exacerbated becomes an unease, which we accept as a condition, which becomes a dis-ease, which we then call it a disease, and we give it a name and a label. And to make it even worse, we take things that don't deal with the root cause of it, but just numb it out. So we just continue, keep on keeping on. Keep on banging your head on the wall. Oh, it's bleeding. Oh, if I just take something and just keep banging your head on the wall. Not looking at the root cause of it. What is dis-ease on a scientific level? Toxicity around the cell environment, and the chemicals within and around the cell, for example. I won't have enough time to go into the science of it, and also I'm not a scientist, so probably going to fuck something up. But the basics of it is toxicity around the cell environment and within the cell. Now, what causes it? Is it just what you eat? Is it the amount of exercise? Does it have anything to do with vibration, frequency, energy? Think about it like this. If we're stressed out a lot, all or almost all the time, living in fight or flight, survival mode, which is actually most of human being almost all the time in our day and age. With so much stimulation, so much going on, this machine, that its first priority is to protect you, is to make sure you can survive. It's very ancient, right? It's like back from our cave days. It's looking for the saber-toothed tiger today in your living room. Can I trust this person? Don't know. Right? It's always there in play, which is good. It's not bad, because you don't want to just trust everything and anything and everything. But if that's the only mode, like that's the only gear we're living in, always looking for, am I in danger? Am I going to survive this? We're in survival mode. Most of us are in survival mode almost all of our day. That means in high stress. In our nervous system, not in rest and digest. It is not conducive for healing. You cannot heal if you're in fight and flight. Fight and flight means take those resources and get ready to fight or flight. How many of you know this? Right? Makes sense. It's not a time to get all relaxed and digest your food and rest and recover. It's a time to fight or flight, because there's some danger. Problem though is that we've built our life to be quite safe these days, especially in the Western world. We don't have a saber-toothed tiger, but the metaphorical saber-toothed tiger doesn't really exist. The enemy is really just the thoughts that we create in our minds. I don't know about you, for example, I get up every morning, almost every morning. The first thing I wake up, my mind is like, all right, you're up? Okay, boom, it just throws all this shit at me. I'm like, my goodness. I need to interrupt that and sit in meditation. And I'm going to sit, right? My headphones on, close my eyes, go in, connect, shift my frequency. So come back to the cell environment. If thought can create stress, so maybe thought alone is creating the stress that creates the dis-ease, which we have a label for and we medicate. And by the way, this medication is not bad all the time. Sometimes it's needed. Other times, we're just covering it up and not facing what's underneath. kind of like our emotional healing. Most people just cover up, whack on a smile, try and just keep on keeping on, right? Like Glinda was sharing before. We live in a time where we think we have to. I have to be seen like I have it together. I have to be seen like I'm happy all the time. We're not fucking happy all the time. There are times when it's really difficult. Shit happens. Right? So we put that pressure on ourselves. With thought alone, if we create stress, which creates disease, that means with thought alone, we're creating our illnesses. Could it be possible with thought alone, we can bring about healing? I would say yes. So I say thought, but it's almost not thought. To go beyond thinking. Here is the teaching that is right across all spiritual texts, which we look deeply in the year of what we do in Inner Circle. The impact of thought and who you are. See, how many of you are aware that thought is happening, thinking is happening right now in your mind? Right now, right? There's thoughts happening, thinking, it's always happening. Now, if you're aware of the thoughts, that means you can observe thoughts happening. Who is that that's aware of the thought? Are you the thought? I know. It's a bit of a mindfuck. Oh, by the way, I swear as well. People are like, oh my God, I thought this was be all spiritual and yogi. Yeah. I swear. If you're aware that thought and thinking is happening, then who are you? Are you the thought? Or are you the awareness that is aware that thought is happening? And if you're not your thoughts, then who are you? What I'm trying to get to is one of the key teachings across all spiritual texts, which is, put simply in plain English, you're not your thoughts. The root cause of our suffering as human beings, which also causes diseases and the pains and struggles that we have, which then bring us to look for healing, the root cause of our suffering as human being is not that we have thought or thinking happening. The root cause of our suffering as human being is our identification with thought and thinking. I didn't make this up. It's in across all spiritual texts. I looked at it first in the Yoga Sutras, it's in the Bhagavad Gita, it's across various different texts. I would say it's the key teaching. I haven't read every spiritual text out there. Put my hand up for that too. But the ones that I've looked at so far, this is one of the key teachings. Someday if you've read a few things, then you'll agree this is, right, it goes across. Yeah, we're not our thought. Put very simple English. We're not our thoughts. The problem is that we think we're our thoughts. So we become the thought. And careful, because if the thought is saying, based on the proof that I have around me, it seems like I think maybe I'm not good enough. Or because of what that person did, maybe I'm not loved. And then, what you don't hear is that, what do you think? We don't hear that part. We just go into, oh my goodness, that is true, right? Because we identify with the thought. The root cause of our suffering as human being is our identification with thought and thinking. There's a lot of work to unpack that. I hope you enjoyed that. Remember to leave me a comment below or any questions you may have about the topic covered. And if you haven't done so yet, hit subscribe and the bell icon so you'll be the first to know when I upload my next video. Also, if you know someone who may benefit from this video, please hit share and share it with them. Lastly, I commend you for your commitment to growth and personal transformation. Here's to your epic awakened life. See you in my next video.